So, some very big news came out yesterday with the FA announcing that they were scrapping replays in the FA Cup as of next season. And it's funny that they do it on the weekend of the FA Cup semi-finals. Well, I'm here to talk about that because, it's caused a lot of controversy, rightfully so. And, I can see both sides of the argument. Obviously, being someone that supports a big six club, I can see their arguments as to why it's tedious and why it adds too much strain on the players, etc., etc. But also having knowledge of football outside of the Premier League and outside of the Football League, knowing people that work at clubs lower down the footballing pyramid, I can see exactly why they are frustrated with the proposal to get rid of, and the idea to get rid of the replays in the FA Cup. So let's have a little look at whether this is a good decision or whether this is a bad decision, and ways to look for solutions to make this work for everybody. But obviously, before we go any further, don't forget to like the video, comment down below your opinions, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're trying to hit 300 subscribers by the end of the year, and also follow my new TikTok page that I launched just the other day. Obviously, you guys need to start following over there. Check out the content over there. It's going to be basically just uploading my shorts that are uploaded on this channel, but there also will be exclusive TikTok content that will not be available on YouTube. So please don't miss out on any of that and go check that out. But anyway, FA Cup replays. What are they about? What are they? Well, if you don't know, in the FA Cup, if you draw, you don't go to extra time. You don't go to penalties. You play a replay. So let's say Man City are at home to West Ham in the FA Cup. Draw 1-1 at the Etihad. Doesn't go to extra time. You just play a replay at the London Stadium. Now, if that game ends a draw, then you go to extra time and you go to penalties, right? Okay. In that context, in that example I used, that is potentially very tedious for both teams involved. Neither of them really want to go do that. They'd rather just go to penalties, get the game over and done with, save their players' fitness, play an extra half an hour instead of a further 90 minutes. Makes sense. Completely makes sense in that context. And just looking at that example alone, you can see, oh yeah, that sounds like a very good idea. You should definitely get rid of replays. It's for the benefit of the players. But it's not just Premier League teams in the FA Cup, is it? It's not just Football League teams in the FA Cup. There are non-league teams in there as well. And the issue is, a lot of these clubs will benefit from the ability to be able to take a bigger team for a replay. Obviously, that would mean that both games are televised. It would obviously mean that they play home and away. So obviously they make the money off fans coming to the ground, buying stuff, etc., etc. But then they also go away to said ground and to a big ground where people that might not even support the club but live in the local area will go and buy away tickets, which are obviously money that goes back to the club. Being able to sell two matches worth of match day tickets for basically just one fixture, again, works wonders for the club. And a lot of these clubs do make a huge chunk of their money from big games like this. The luck of the FA Cup, the pot luck of being drawn against bigger teams, going on cup runs. And you even look at Maidstone this year, they were managed to get themselves to the, I want to say it was the quarterfinal. No, they got to the 5th round. Is it the 5th round or is it the 6th round? The one that comes before the quarterfinals. I cannot remember if it's the 5th or the 6th. But either way, they managed to go quite far. Obviously, unfortunately losing to Coventry, but they ended up beating Ipswich. And obviously, them going on that cup run made the club money. Obviously, they could still go on that cup run without replays, but it is significantly harder. And like I said, obviously, my experience of the FA Cup is I do find replays kind of tedious. Yeah, they are a bit long. Coming from someone that supports a big six club, but my family, for example, my little brother, he one of his best moments of the season was going to the London Stadium to watch Bristol City draw 1-1. London Stadium, obviously Tommy Conway scored there to equalise, and then going to the replay at Ashton Gate and seeing Tommy Conway score again to obviously win 1-0 and then win 2-1 across both games, and obviously send them to the next round. That was a big moment of his season, one of the biggest football games he's ever been to, and that again wouldn't have been, and the moment, the ecstasy of that second Tommy Conway goal wouldn't have been possible if the replays weren't there, because they could have potentially lost in extra time at the London Stadium or on penalties. Again, obviously they then went and drew to Forest, and then had to go to have a replay, and obviously, unfortunately, there they lost on penalties. But again, a highlight of his season and a highlight of a lot of Bristol City fan seasons was the 2 games against West Ham, which without replays, they only get 1 game. Okay, fine. If they won there, it would have been great. But, it does sort of, decrease the sort of magic of the competition. I guess, and there are definitely other places where they can strip games from the calendar. Obviously, we do international pre-season tours before the season. I don't really think they're needed, really. Obviously, the big players don't always go out and play there, but if there's really that much, you're really that worried about the players' fitness, wouldn't you rather sacrifice, from a footballing perspective anyway, let's not talk a business perspective, let's talk a footballing perspective, if their fitness matters so much to you, wouldn't you rather scrap a tour, a trophy that means nothing, compared to games in the FA Cup, or there's even been calls to scrap the League Cup? Wouldn't you rather sacrifice the pre-season tour over those 2 competitions, the 2 historic competitions in the country? And from a footballing point of view, yes, you would. You would prefer to get rid of the pre-season tours, but pre-season tours make the clubs dough, so they want to keep the pre-season tours because obviously it makes them money. Doesn't make the bigger clubs as much money. The FA Cup replays and stuff don't make the big clubs as much money as these pre-season tours. Whereas the smaller teams don't really do pre-season tours. They do pre-season matches, but they don't do tours of foreign countries, and so the opportunity to get an FA Cup replay would definitely benefit them more, and be able to get a big team in the FA Cup would definitely benefit them more. So what is a solution to this? How could both areas sort of win? And my friend Joe, I don't actually know what his YouTube channel is called, but he does drumming and guitar covers over there. I'll link it in the bio because he'll love that. I'll also link his song on Spotify because he'll love that as well. Then he can't say that I don't support him. There we go. But yeah, he says to me, why don't they just scrap replays after the 5th round, or after the 4th round maybe. The fourth round probably makes a bit more sense. After the 4th round, yeah, you look at the 4th round, right? So you get the 3rd round, and you can obviously get a replay against a championship team before the 3rd round as a lower league club, right? And then you get to you're lucky enough to make it to the 3rd round, where there's a possibility to get a Premier League team. The Premier League teams then would only have to put up with 1 replay, and by the 4th round, a lot of the smaller clubs probably will not be in the competition. Again, it's not perfect, because what happens if a smaller club makes it to the 4th round and cannot get a replay? Again, it's not perfect, but I think as a starting point, that would be more beneficial than scrapping replays altogether. If you just had them replays up until the 4th round, and then just use that as a sort of stepping stone, as a foundation to potentially rework the system, rework the footballing schedule so it works for everybody. I think that, to me at the moment, that makes perfect sense. Obviously, some of you guys can give me some better insight on it, because obviously I don't really want to see replays go as a whole. Obviously, I would prefer it if Man City didn't have to play any replays, but but that's just like my club. Like, I don't like. It's tedious to watch Man City play a replay because I know it's just like an extra game our team do not need to play, right? But I'm not against replays as a whole because, like, I like the FA Cup and I like seeing underdog stories in the FA Cup, unless it's Wigan winning the FA Cup. Then I don't like to see Wigan winning the FA Cup. All my homies hate Wigan winning the FA Cup, but and Wigan beating Man City in the FA Cup in 2018 as well. All my homies hate that one as well. But yeah, like, you know, like, obviously a lot of some of my family like support Bradford City, obviously, being from there and stuff, being from Yorkshire, and one of their biggest moments was obviously going 2-0 down at Stamford Bridge and winning 4-2 against Mourinho's Chelsea in, was that 2015, I want to say. Obviously they made the League Cup final as well and lost 5-0 to Swansea. Obviously beat Arsenal on penalties in that cup run. But yeah, like, you know, that is a big game for people that I know. That is the big game in their lifetimes that they got to witness. And, you know, I like the magic of the FA Cup, and that's why replays are great, because you see teams secure a replay against a bigger team, and then bam, they're able to get a bit of a smash and grab in the replay and go through. So, you know, it is always nice to watch. So I can see both sides of the argument, and I wouldn't want to see replays go as a whole, but there is probably a way they can balance it out so that smaller teams are able to get their replays, but from a certain point where smaller teams shouldn't logistically be making it to, the replays are scrapped. I think there's probably a way to work that out. And obviously, again, if people like Klopp, even Pep does it sometimes, want to complain about fixture congestion, there are definitely things that can be done. Again, just play the like, just if these are meaningless games, just play the young players, give them time to develop. Obviously, I know some clubs do that, some clubs don't. You know, these young players aren't going to get any better just playing against people their age group, are they? Like, you know, throw them in the deep end, give them a nice little tough physical football league team to play against, help them develop. You know, there are many ways to combat this the schedule congestion. And obviously, I'm not saying the schedule congestion isn't an issue, because it is. Rodri looks like he's going to pass away, but yeah, there are definitely different ways to combat it, and I don't think scrapping FA Cup replays as a whole is the way to go about it. And the FA even released a statement today after clubs like Tranmere and stuff spoke out against the change. They've even said that they see the backlash and they're going to speak to clubs further to try and work things out. And, you know, hopefully we can see replays back, but we just see them in a in just a bit of a different format is basically what I'm trying to say. But that's really all I have to say on it, really. I'm not like I'm not like too passionate. I'm not as passionate as some people. Obviously, supporting a Big Six club, it doesn't really affect me personally. But I can understand and see the frustration of other people, and I definitely don't want to see them gone as a whole. But you guys that support clubs in the Football League and stuff like that, comment down below your opinions on FA Cup replays, your best FA Cup memories, supporting your team. If you've got any FA Cup replay memories, just comment them down below. Obviously, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you're new around here, check out the rest of the videos on the channel. I'm sure you will not be disappointed. But before I go, my favourite FA Cup memory, obviously last season's FA Cup final, where we beat Manchester United, our local rivals. Gundogan scoring after 13 seconds. What a day that was. Anyway, I've been Nathan, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Shut down cases. They belly dots to the can't see faces. Chasing the bad guy chase it. You don't wanna be the one like Ace and like G-Take trying to turn them out wasted. Aye, tell a bad bitch come break it. Body come mad, come shake it. Then get back to the basics. Bro, don't shut down cases. They belly dots to the